It's the NFL on CBS on the banks of the Ohio River. Today, the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road to meet the Cincinnati Bengals. Back in the broadcast booth, Ian Eagle, Solomon Wilcots, young quarterbacks, the building blocks for an organization. We've got two of them here.
You do, and Ben Roethlisberger has shown the comfort level you want to see from a rookie quarterback. Well, he should be comfortable today because he returns home. He is an Ohio native, has a number of fans here wishing him well today. And how about Carson Palmer? He says he's getting more comfortable each and every week. Now he has to knock off the bully of the division.
Pittsburgh Steelers off to their best start since 1978 when they began the season 9-1. They are 8-1, leading the AFC North. Cincinnati 4-5, trying to get to the 500 mark today. They've won 3 of their last 4. Bill Cowher. He said that they recognize that Cincinnati is a better team than the one they faced the last time these two teams met. Marvin Lewis began his NFL coaching career as a linebackers coach for the Steelers back in 1992. Spent 4 years on Bill Cowher's staff. Cincinnati has won the toss. Jeff Reed will kick it off. The speedy Cliff Russell and Kenny Watson, the deep man for Cincinnati. Bengals 0-3 in the division. They've been outscored 85-43 in those games within the AFC North. Reed on the approach. And we're underway from Paul Brown Stadium. This will be Watson from the 10. Kenny Watson straight down the middle and crosses the 25-yard line. A modest return of 15 yards. Brent Kiesel makes the stop on special teams. Carson Palmer averaging 35 pass attempts per game. Quite a difference than the man on the other side of the field, Ben Roethlisberger. Offensive line, no sacks the last 2 weeks against Palmer. Willie Anderson's playing hurt. Major knee injury. Backs and receivers, more pressure on T.J. Houshmandzadeh. Peter Warrick done for the season, but Houshmandzadeh had a big game last week in the victory over Washington, 17-10. First and 10 from the 26. First play from scrimmage on the pitch. Rudy Johnson has some blockers, and Johnson able to spin his way to the 40-yard line.
Well, the eye on the Bengals, and this is what they have to do. They must be able to tackle Jerome Bettis on the defensive side of the ball. And then talk about Johnson and Johnson. You saw the run by Rudy Johnson. They have to help Carson Palmer. Can't put it all on his shoulders. And then defensively, they have to contain Ben Roethlisberger. Keep him in the pocket. When he gets outside of the pocket, he has the potential to create big plays in the passing game.
Johnson goes to the sideline, had the big run to open play. And a first and 10 from the 41. Palmer, empty backfield, throwing into a crowd and knocked away. Houshmandzadeh in a matchup with James Farrior. Incomplete. Defensively for Pittsburgh, they are ranked #1 in the NFL. Casey Hampton out for the year. Chris Hope in his 4th year from BYU has stepped in. Linebackers, no pregame fight. Joey Porter is in there for the Steelers today. And in the secondary, injury to Chad Scott, a quad injury, so Willie Williams gets his 4th straight start. The veteran is at cornerback. This will be a 2nd and 10 for Cincinnati. From the 41, handoff, it's Rudy Johnson. And not much there. Aaron Smith limits him to a 2-yard gain. Johnson, the only running back to gain over 100 yards against Pittsburgh this season. He ripped off 123 in the first meeting.
Well, it has to start with Rudy Johnson. He is the catalyst for this offense. Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's really come on strong, and that's why the Bengals have been able to turn it around. The running game's gotten going, but the defense has also improved.
Now a 3rd and 8 in a 3-receiver set. Kelly Washington has checked in. Palmer will operate out of the shotgun. Kenny Watson in the backfield. On 3rd and long. Long count. Palmer steps up, guns to a spot, and incomplete. Looked like the pass was on the money for Chad Johnson, who could not haul it in. Cincinnati forced a punt.
Yeah, Chad Johnson, you see he'll come working right over the middle of the field. But watch the small windows to which to throw this ball in between defenders. And that's why he had to put it a little bit behind Chad Johnson, because the outside nickel cornerback and the middle linebacker, James Farrior, were closing in on that window. Very tight window for Carson Palmer to fit that football.
Rookie Kyle Larson punting to Antoine Randall, averaging just 5.5 yards per return. Larson having a strong rookie campaign out of Nebraska. High sailing punt. Randall L. backpedals. Return from the 9. Randall L. up the gut. Here's Antoine Randall L. breaking through across the 35-yard line. A 49-yard punt, 28-yard return. Marvin Lewis's defense will take the field against Ben Roethlisberger, Ohio's own. Next. A homecoming for Ben Roethlisberger from Findlay, Ohio, about 3 hours north of Cincinnati. Went to Miami, which is in Oxford. There's a short toss from Cincinnati and a 1st and 10 to open up. Bootleg up the play action. Roethlisberger guns. High throw caught by Burris. He makes the connection on his first pass of the day. Torrey James in the coverage. 22-yard pass completion. Roethlisberger undefeated. The first rookie QB to start his career with a 7-0 record. Offensive line's been doing an outstanding job. The veteran Jeff Harding's leading the way on that O-line. And backs and receivers, he's got weapons, including Hines Ward. Had a crushing block last week against Orpheus Roy of the Browns, and Ward continues to put up big numbers in the passing game. On a 1st and 10 from the 42 for Pittsburgh. Jerome Bettis, the lead rusher today, as Bettis slips a tackle and moves ahead across the 40, a gain of 3.
Well, our eye on the Steelers, they must dominate with the running game with Jerome Bettis. He's had 6 straight 100-yard games against the Bengals. And then Ben Roethlisberger has to be a positive factor. Already has done so on the first play from their offensive possession. And then they're going to have to defensively create chaos in the mind of Carson Palmer with their zone blitz and come up with big plays on defense.
Deuce Staley missing his 3rd straight game with a hamstring injury. He did make the trip as an on the sideline here today. Handoff. It's Bettis. Huge hole as Bettis barrels his way across the 30. A 1st down and a hand from the starting running back, Deuce Staley. It's an 11-yard gain for Bettis, getting the nod once again. Defensively for Cincinnati, Justin Smith helps lead that pass rushing attack for the Bengals. Linebackers Brian Simmons had a pick last week. The veteran's been very steady for Cincinnati. And in the secondary, this is a huge change with Deltha O'Neal out with an elbow injury. Keywan Ratliff, yet another rookie making a start for Cincinnati on defense. On 1st down, Roethlisberger swings it out. Dan Kreider, the fullback, and he's bottled up quickly by Ratliff, who cut him down low. A 4-yard gain. Jerome Bettis has passed Tony Dorsett for 5th all-time on the NFL rushing list. Bettis one day will see his name in Canton.
Didn't take him long to take care of that piece of business. Needed only about 6 yards to pass Tony Dorsett, who is a great running back, who is from Pittsburgh originally, of course, having played years with the Dallas Cowboys, someone that Jerome Bettis really does admire. 3rd straight start for the Bus. He has gone back-to-back over 100 his last 2. And here's Bettis again. On 2nd down, he gains just 1. Landon Johnson, the impressive rookie from Purdue, in on that stop with Rogers Beckett. You have to give Pittsburgh credit because they've come off on the road and got off to an impressive start here on the offensive side of the ball. They know that the Bengals are charged up to try to stop their running game. Bill Cowher allows Ben Roethlisberger to throw the ball on 1st down. They made the big play with Plexico Burris, and then they handed to Jerome Bettis and just been ripping off yards with the running game.
A 4-receiver set for Pittsburgh on a 3rd and 5. Some fans come to their feet here in Cincinnati. Roethlisberger out of the gun. Has the protection, delivers towards the sideline, and hauled in. Lee Mays. A 1st down for Pittsburgh. It's a 9-yard gain. He was working against Terrell Roberts.
And there you see the ability, and look at the comfort. You see him looking one way, come back, all clear to the other side to find Mays. And then you can tell that Ben Roethlisberger, he uses the talent around him. He knows he has a great offensive line. He gives a lot of credit to the blockers up front, to the receivers, and to the running game. But still, you can see they're already asking him to do a lot in this offense, and he comes through.
He's perfect so far. 3 for 3. A 1st and 10 from the 14, just underway here in Cincinnati. And flags come down. First penalty of the game, Larry Nemers. The referee will fill us in.
False start, offense, number 35, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
And the fullback, Dan Kreider, the guilty party. And the first mistake Pittsburgh has made on offense so far.
To be one of those costly mistakes. You get down inside the red zone, Bill Cowher, he knows you have to be perfect. to turn this field position into a touchdown. They don't want field goals, but they're pretty good. 7th overall in the National Football League at punching it in inside the red zone.
A 24-10 victory in Cleveland last week, looking to make another statement on the road within the division here. 1st and 15 for the Steelers. Handed off. Bettis. Tackled quickly by Dwayne Clemens along with Madieu Williams. It's a loss of 1.
And that time, Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati, hedged his bet. Thought they would go to Jerome Bettis. They crowded the line of scrimmage and getting more people at the point of attack than they can block. So it was just a good call that time defensively. Now you come in on 2nd down, and you know, this is where you can get some play action, looking for them to take some shots, throwing the ball to try to get it into the end zone.
Anthony Mitchell has come onto the field, slotting in at corner. On 2nd and long, double tight end set. Roethlisberger, pressure. Roethlisberger is dumped. Back of the 26, Clemens the first man to bring him down. Bengals able to devour the rookie in the pocket.
And that's what happens when you get that kind of do it. So you come in, you get penetration, and they're able to hem him in. We talked about keeping Ben Roethlisberger in the pocket because he's very mobile, and if he can break contained, then he's going to make a play. But you see Langston Moore coming, and you see Clemens. They're just converging. They have him contained first, and then they get the pressure in the face of the quarterback. He's not able to get outside, and then that play is dead. So you have to give credit to the pressure up front. But it all started with that penalty they got on 1st down, and now they've just been moving backwards.
Fans charged up, a 3rd and 23. Roethlisberger just gets the play off. And Roethlisberger twirled down back at the 38-yard line. Clemens on back-to-back sacks.
It's Clemens working against the right tackle, Oliver Ross. He'll come right here. You see him? He'll just come, and it's a speed rush. Getting up the field, beating Ross, seeing staying outside, knowing he has to keep contained, and then closes in on the quarterback. And Roethlisberger was ready to get out of there, but it's just a speed rush of Dwayne Clemens, who's been very effective as of late at doing exactly this, putting pressure on the quarterback. Give credit to the Bengals defense in that red zone possession because they really forced this defense to move backwards with an incredible stop.
Pittsburgh had gotten all the way down to the 14-yard line of Cincinnati, then backed up. 7-yard loss, 10-yard loss as flags come down. Steelers forced to punt.
Delay a game on the offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Kewan Ratliff will be the return man, standing inside his own 10-yard line. And Chris Gardocki, the punter. Gardocki trying to place this one inside the 10. 7:20 to go. We're in the 1st quarter. Big defensive stand by the Cincinnati Bengals. Gardocki, high punt. Fair catch at the 6. Could have let that one bounce. It probably would have rolled into the end zone. Instead, Bengals will be pinned back deep in their own territory. No score here in Cincinnati.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 39. T-Mobile, get more minutes, more features, more service. And by Miller, there's good enough and there's better than it has to be. Miller, good call.
69th meeting between the Steelers and the Bengals. Pittsburgh leads the all-time series with a record of 40-28. Bengals trying to get to the 500 mark. And they've got a 1st and 10 at their own 6-yard line. Polamalu comes to the line of scrimmage, now backs off. His former college roommate, Carson Palmer, calling the signals. Palmer from his own end zone. Fires underneath. And Rudy Johnson, a rare catch, just his 9th of the year. Farrier limits him to a 1-yard gain.
Whenever they bring Troy Polamalu down inside the box, I think the Bengals are going to have to take some shots down the field. That time matched up in man-to-man coverage. They like to keep both safeties playing deep to help out with their corners, but Polamalu's very aggressive. When he comes down in the box, look for the Bengals to now take some shots in that one-on-one coverage on the outside.
Now a 2nd and 9 for Cincinnati from the 7. Double tight end set. Kelly and Stewart for the Bengals. Hand it off. Rudy Johnson through the middle. And a gain of 1. Just trying to give Palmer some room to operate with. Chris Hogan on the stop with Polamalu. Bill Cowher told us that Polamalu is as instinctive a safety as he's ever been around, and that's saying something considering the defensive players he's had.
Well, they've had some good ones, and you got to go back to, I think, Carnell Lake, who I thought was one of the most underrated strong safeties to play in this league, who could play every position in the secondary and came out of college as an All-American linebacker from UCLA. Could do it all, and that's what Troy Polamalu said he's modeling his game after right now.
Passing situation on a 3rd and 8, deep in their own territory, the Bengals. Here's Coleman throwing. Incomplete, and a flag down. T.J. Hushman's out of the intended target. Penalty marker on the play.
Holding, offense, number 76. Penalty is declined, 4th down.
That's left tackle Levi Jones. They'll take the incompletion and force Cincinnati to punt.
I think the Bengals are going to have to be very careful. Carson Palmer, be very careful with what he's doing with the football on 3rd down. That's when the Steelers come with their exotic zone blitzes and nearly had that ball intercepted.
Randall L. nearly broke his last return for a touchdown. Steelers should have excellent field position. The punter Kyle Larson out of his own end zone. Caught by Randall L. He's got some room. Turns it upfield. Here's Randall L. crossing the 25. And finally brought down at the 18-yard line. Tyrone Carter with a key block. And a 31-yard return, longest of the season for Antoine Randall L.
Well, this is not a good punt if you're Kyle Larson. This ball gets to Randall L. very quickly. Didn't have much hang time. And you see him, he starts outside and he finds a seam by cutting it up. And that's the good punt returners. They get vertical with the football. They set you up with a lateral move and then cut it up the field. And that punt that time, it wasn't in the air for long at all. And so when you have a flat punt like that, it really helps the punt returner get the ball in his hands more quickly and then get headed upfield.
This Pittsburgh drive starts in the red zone. They'll spot it at the 17 on a 1st and 10 for Roethlisberger. Hand up. Bettis diving forward, and Bettis slides his way for a gain of 5. Kevin Hardy in on the stop.
Huge possession here because Pittsburgh, they're on the road. They want to get on top. And we talked to Marvin Lewis about this. He said Pittsburgh is used to playing with a lead. They get the lead, and then they run the ball until they run all the time off the clock. They're used to running the ball in their last 3 games, some 50 times. And you can see the first 6 games what they've done, and then over the last few weeks where they really have just poured it on the competition.
And a 2nd and 5 from the 12 for the Steelers. 2 tight ends in there. Roethlisberger will fake the handoff. Stops and throws. High throw out of the end zone. Incomplete. Plexico Burress in the area. He may have zigged. And Roethlisberger thought he was going to zag. A penalty marker on the play. Late flag at the line of scrimmage.
Intentional grounding on the quarterback. That's a 10-yard penalty. Loss of down.
It was an inside cut by Burress. I think Ben thought he was going to be in the corner of the end zone.
I think he was also trying to get rid of the football and understanding that the pressure was on him. You know, Ben Roethlisberger is so used to getting outside of the pocket and making plays on the perimeter. But when they contain him and keep him in the pocket, you can't throw that ball out. Only when you get outside of the pocket would they have allowed him to throw that and not be penalized for the intentional grounding call. So you have to give the Bengals, they're doing a good job of keeping him contained inside the pocket and putting pressure on the rookie quarterback.
2nd consecutive possession. Steelers are moving backwards. Antoine Randall L. has come in. Tooman shifts over into a wingback position for Roethlisberger. Out of the gun, Roethlisberger throws it to Burress. And he's moved backwards on the hit by Roberts. 8-yard gain.
Yeah, Roberts giving a lot of room over on the left side of the screen over to Plexico Burress. You see the double clutch and then the throw by Roethlisberger, but giving him so much room, understanding the down and distance needed. You make that tackle, and now the field goal kicker has to come on. So, you know, Roberts did give him a lot of room, but played it perfectly for that situation.
Steelers will settle for the 32-yard attempt from Jeff Reed. 11 of 16 in field goal tries this season. Reed from 32 yards away. Steelers looking to get on the board first. And Reed's field goal, he's got it. Able to get it inside the upright and give Pittsburgh a 3-0 advantage. Cincinnati defense, though, does the job. Antoine Randall with a 30-yard punt return, setting up Pittsburgh in tremendous field position, but the Steelers have to settle for the field goal. Jeff Reed 32 yards away, and it's a 3-0 Pittsburgh lead. Cliff Russell, Kenny Watson back to return the Reed kickoff. Last meeting between these two teams, October the 3rd. Pittsburgh a 28-17 win, but don't let the final score fool you. Late interception return for Polamalu is what made the score look to be in favor of Pittsburgh. Russell on the return for Cincinnati, and a loose football. Out at the 33-yard line, the Bengals able to recover it. And that's where Cincinnati will set up shop.
Here you see the return. He does leave this one on the ground. Hit the hole very nicely. Good blocking up front. Bengals are fortunate to recover this fumble because they've dodged some bullets here in the early going.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. It's what to eat when you want to eat fresh. Subway, eat fresh. And by Ford. 6 all-new vehicles, each built for the road ahead.
For the third time this season, the Cincinnati Bengals facing a team with the #1 ranked defense in the NFL. Last week, a victory over Washington. Earlier in the season on Monday night, Denver came in with the #1 ranked defense. Cincinnati came out with a win there. Right now they trail 3-0. 3:47 to go in the first. On first down, Rudy Johnson breaks 2 tackles. And Johnson able to bring it to the second level for a gain of 9 or 10, depending upon where they give him forward progress. Good block by Bram and Kelly.
Watch the tight end. You see, this is Tony Stewart. This is where they're going to hit it. They get an extra blocker here, then they seal it off there. But you see the natural running lane? That's just an excellent play call. Look at the natural running lane right there. They're able to crease that defense. Rudy Johnson doing a good job of running inside the tackles. That's where he's so good at bouncing off defenders and breaking tackles.
He's the only Bengal who's handled the ball on offense other than Carson Palmer. He's got 1 catch and 4 carries. Will this one be enough for a first down? They extend the chains and just a little bit shy. So second and a few inches.
Second and a few inches. You have to feel like you can pick up a first down if you were third and a few inches. This is second and a few inches. I'd look for them to maybe take a shot down the field. They know they have to come up big in the passing game. You know, even Bill Cowher talked about it, said we cannot allow Chad Johnson to hit the big play on us. So we're very cognizant of what Chad Johnson can do in the passing game.
From the 43, he'll go on the ground, pick up the first down, and Rudy Johnson is tripped up. Kendrell Bell in on that stop. A 4-yard gain for Johnson. New set of downs to work with.
Rudy Johnson continues to be the only guy to handle the football. He's really good at running it inside. And now the Bengals are faced with a first down at midfield. Sooner or later, Carson Palmer is going to have to get going in the passing game. I think they should throw more on first and second down as opposed to throwing against the Steelers' third down defense, which is really complicated.
On a 1st and 10 from the 46, under 3 minutes to go, first quarter. Handoff again. Rudy Johnson running in between the tackles. And spun down to Shea Townsend. Makes the stop. It's a 2-yard gain. NFL Today update. We head to New York. Greg Gumbel.
All right, the Colts at the Bears. Peyton Manning, the problem for Chicago so far today. 14 yards. Marcus Pollard with the catch. Touchdown pass number 32 on the year for Manning. It's a 7-0 Colt lead. Under 3 minutes to play, guys.
Just amazing. An amazing season for Peyton Manning. On 2nd and 8. Quick throw. It's complete to the 45-yard line to Kelly Washington. And that was a quick hitter for Carson Palmer and the Bengals.
A quick hitter on second down, and that's what I think the Cincinnati Bengals and Carson Palmer is going to have to do in the passing game. They would prefer to see him throwing the ball against the Pittsburgh Steelers' base set of defense. When they bring in the nickel and dime packages on defense, things get really complicated with that zone blitz.
On 3rd and 1. Washington, the motion man, fake the handoff. Palmer throws, high throw to Jeremy Johnson, who turns it upfield for a first down. That's a good catch by the fullback, and a new set of downs after the 9-yard gain. Back to New York, another NFL Today update. Here's Greg.
All right, Ian, the Denver Broncos off to a good start in New Orleans today after Reuben Drones ran 51 yards for a touchdown. Jake Plummer finds Ashley Lilly for 37 yards. They had 2 touchdowns in 4 offensive plays. They lead the Saints 14-0 tail end of the first quarter, guys.
So Denver, the 2-touchdown lead on the road behind Jake Plummer. 14-0 there. Palmer throwing the long ball deep down the field. Oh, what a catch! Chad Johnson's got it. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
Just an incredible play by Chad Johnson, because it was a total misread and miscommunication between he and Carson Palmer. He literally went up and took the ball away from the Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback, Deshae Townsend. Something that Bill Coward had fear is the speed and talent of Chad Johnson in the vertical passing game.
Chad Johnson with a brilliant grab to give Cincinnati the lead. Shane Graham on for the extra point. Larson will hold it. And it's 7-3 Bengals.
Now see, he throws it up. It's an out and up. He overthrows this ball. But look at Chad Johnson. Continues with the route. Goes up and skies over the top of Deshae Townsend to put the Cincinnati Bengals on the board, giving them their first touchdown in the game.
A spectacular play for the Bengals and Johnson. The personal highlight reel for Chad Johnson is now spilling over into a second tape.
Well, you're proving that you can't overthrow him because his speed is phenomenal. He has another gear in his ability to go up for the football. He's a playmaker. There's no doubt.
You can't blame Deshae Townsend, can you?
Well, he played it perfectly other than playing the ball in the air. He allowed Chad Johnson to sky over the top and come down with the rebound.
Graham to kick it off. Randall L. and Coakley are deep for Pittsburgh. This is Ricardo Coakley, the rookie. Takes it out across the 20 and gets banged down at the 23-yard line.
Okay, now here's what you didn't see. It's an out and then an up by Chad Johnson. And Deshae Townsend plays it perfectly. He never bites on the out fake. And you see he's still on top. The ball is overthrown by Carson Palmer. And watch Chad Johnson goes right over the top of him, lands on top of Deshae Townsend, and rolls over into the end zone. Deshae Townsend didn't bite on the first route, stays on top like you coach him up to do. He just didn't play the ball well in the air.
Let's see how the Steelers respond. A 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line for Pittsburgh after the electrifying touchdown Palmer to Johnson. On first down, handoff. Bettis eludes one tackler and then tossed forward to the 30-yard line. It's a 5-yard gain. Langston Moore will be given credit for the stop.
Pittsburgh finds themselves in that difficult position on the road, playing from behind, down 7-3. Would love to stick with the running game with Jerome Bettis, but when you fail to get the lead, when you play from behind, as you lose time on the clock, you tend to have to throw the ball a little bit more and rely on your rookie quarterback.
Still in the first quarter, 29 seconds left on a 2nd and 5 for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger, quick throw to the outside. Hines Ward able to make the cut, but didn't appear like he had the first down. Keywan Ratliff was down on the sideline. 4-yard gain.
Yeah, you could tell the Pittsburgh Steelers are starting to look at the Cincinnati Bengals defensive backfield, understanding Keywan Ratliff in for Delta O'Neal. Look for them to work more on their rookie cornerback.
Starting play in the second quarter, Deshae Townsend chatting with Troy Polamalu. And Townsend did everything you could ask of a defensive back to deal with Chad Johnson. Just couldn't come up with a football. 7-3 Bengals in front. And Roethlisberger keeps it himself for a first down. It's a 2-yard gain. And this drive continues for Pittsburgh.
Ryan, so much of what the Pittsburgh Steelers do with Bill Cowher, he said we have to get back to running the football. It's something they've been able to do. That's why they've run off 7 straight wins. And it all starts, I think, with the offensive line. That's where the team gets their personality, their dominating physical style of play has to start with them, and that's where they're going to have to get back with this game, is really dictating the tempo in the trenches.
From the 37, a first down for Pittsburgh. Take the handoff. Roethlisberger throwing underneath the coverage to Hines Ward. And they pick up 5 yards through the air. So a little dink and dunk so far for Roethlisberger after that first pass he threw to Plexico Burress to open play.
Yeah, but before he went to the break, we were talking about the fact that Keywan Ratliff, the rookie cornerback, is in for Delta O'Neal, who's out with an elbow injury. Look for the Pittsburgh Steelers to recognize that, hey, if you get a cornerback who's a rookie in this league, you have to take some chances in throwing the football at him.
On a 2nd and 5 for Pittsburgh from the 42. Give to Bettis. And Jerome Bettis plowing over Rogers Beckett. And he gains 4 or 5, depending upon where they put the football.
You know, the Steelers, they have been known to be a team that always wants to run the football. For years, ranked very high. And then you see last year, second from last, 31st overall. And now they're second overall in terms of running the football. So you see a huge turnaround in just 1 year. And we were talking with Alan Faneca. Of course, they bring over Deuce Staley, who has over 700 yards rushing. But in talking to Alan Faneca, he said, hey, as our offensive line, we took it as a personal goal of ours to get us back to a dominating running football team, and said he thought they jailed back in training camp, something they wanted to do with their offensive line coach, Russ Grimm. Remember him with the Hogs of the Washington Redskins? So it's something that really has become their personality. They are a tough football team because they have tough offensive linemen like Alan Faneca and some of the others, Jeff Hardings and Marvell Smith up front, paving the way for the Pittsburgh Steelers running backs.
They come up just a bit short for the first down. Max Starks, number 78, is in there as a 3rd tight end. So a jumbo formation on a 3rd and inches for Pittsburgh.
What do you think they're going to do with the ball?
I think a long pass. No.
Definitely
up the gut.
A run would have to be in order here.
Talking about 3rd and an inch. I'm not sure you can even put plural on it. And Bettis in the backfield. Kreider in front of him. And Roethlisberger himself. Second time on this drive, Ben Roethlisberger has given Pittsburgh a first down. And a 3-yard gain. This drive remains alive as we head back to New York. Greg Gumbel, NFL Today update.
All right, Ian, a game involving the Indianapolis Colts. What do you think? Peyton Manning to Reggie Wayne, 35 yards, number 33 on the year for Manning, number 200 of his career. Early second quarter, the Colts lead the Bears 14-3, guys.
He's just locked in. I just don't know what else we can say about the man anymore.
In our pregame show, Dan Marino talked about it. Where is the coverage?
First time he's rooting for defensive players in his career. On a first down for Pittsburgh. Fake the handoff. Roll out. Roethlisberger throwing. High throw. Brought in by Burress. Keywan Ratliff, the rookie. They went right at him. And Roethlisberger with a strong completion of 17 yards.
Strong completion because he was able to get out of the pocket. And that's where he's at his best. Ben Roethlisberger, the only rookie quarterback to win his first 7 starts. Big Ben has been a huge factor with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's where he's at his best, getting out of the pocket there. But here's a guy that, yes, he does have the big offensive line, does have the receivers in the running game. But when they ask him to make a play, he executes the play, and he comes up huge for his football team.
8th play of the drive, a 1st and 10 at the 34 for Pittsburgh. Play action. Roethlisberger in the pocket. Throws towards the sideline. Broken up. Hines Ward unable to catch it, and Ratliff with a lick out on the perimeter.
A very dangerous throw that time by Roethlisberger. Becoming a little too comfortable, going all the way back to the other side. A dangerous throw, and it's a lick by Keywan Ratliff. Let's take a listen. Wow.
Now Hines Ward getting a taste of his own medicine.
Oh, Keywan Ratliff is a guy that can lay a lick on. He's one of the few young players now that is starting to really be a huge impact on this defense. Mediu Williams, another, and Landon Johnson starting at middle linebacker. Langston Moore, so many of the rookies that Marvin Lewis has come in and transformed this roster. These guys are contributing early, and that's why this defense has improved in the second half of the season.
Plexico Burris heads to the sideline, replaced by Randall L. for Pittsburgh. This is a 2nd and 10. Back to the ground game. And Bettis plowing forward. Mediu Williams got in his way. It's an 8-yard gain. Marvell Smith was slow to get up for Pittsburgh.
It's just downhill running. See, they'll block it down here, and then he'll come here. But watch them when they'll come and they'll kick out, able to create a nice little running lane for Jerome Bettis. See the kick out block on Brian Simmons, turn him out, and then Mediu Williams has to make the tackle. And that's where I think the secondary has to really improve, is wrapping up on Jerome Bettis. He's come up and had some big-time games against the Bengals, so tackling the bus is going to be important for the Bengals on defense.
3 receivers set for Ron Haynes in the backfield. He'll get the call. On 3rd and 2, Haynes falling forward for a first down. 3-yard gain for the Steelers on the ground. John Thornton making the stop for Cincinnati.
Well, this drive, it really has been about their ability to run the ball. They've run it 6 times, have thrown the ball another 4 times, but Jerome Bettis coming up big in his ability to run the ball, so they're starting to really put the game on this offensive line. Hey, get some movement up front, allow our backs to pick a hole and get going downhill.
11th play of the drive now for Pittsburgh. A 1st and 10 at the Cincinnati 23. Roethlisberger gives to Bettis, and Jerome Bettis tripped up as he crossed the 20. Landon Johnson, a 5-yard gain for the bus.
Now, there was plenty of room to run that ball, but the important thing is Landon Johnson was the first player to make contact with Jerome Bettis, and he got him on the ground. And that's something the Bengals have really focused on. They were just shredded in the earlier part of the season. Teams have been able to come in and run the ball on them, but they really have settled down because they practice tackling each and every day, going from drill to drill. So the tempo that they have in practice and the emphasis on tackling has really helped this defense improve.
3rd time in the red zone today. 2nd and 5 from the 18. It's Bettis again. Brought down from behind by Justin Smith. He sniffed that one out, and a loss of 2 for Pittsburgh.
And again, it's a tackle that he made in the backfield. He'll come right off the corner, and you see him here, and he'll run it down the backside. That's the speed of Justin Smith. Watch how he gets right underneath, but then watch him wrap up on the legs of Jerome Bettis. You were always taught, you take the legs away from the running back, and he has to go down.
Every time they've been in the red zone today, they've lost yardage. And a timeout. Cincinnati calls it at the 9:33 mark of the 2nd quarter. Bengals with a 7-3 lead, trying to maintain it. We're back in a moment. Steelers facing another 3rd down conversion. They're 3 for 3 on this drive. They've got a 3rd and 7 at the Cincinnati 20. Ken Wisenhunt, the Pittsburgh offensive coordinator. He's made all the right calls so far on this possession. A 3-receiver set. Burris still on the sideline with an apparent injury. Roethlisberger out of the shotgun, steps up. Roethlisberger avoids the rush. Flag down. Roethlisberger throwing across his body. Wide open. Antoine Randall L. Touchdown Steelers. But a penalty marker back in the pocket.
Yeah, there was pressure.
Holding, offense, number 79. 10-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
Oliver Ross is having a long day.
He's having a long day trying to block Dwayne Clemens, who's coming very quickly. But there you see the mobility of Ben Roethlisberger and the problems he causes when he gets out of the pocket. When he gets out of the pocket, I'm telling you, this offense can really click because he buys time for the receivers, and they have learned. As long as he's running around, you stay alive and look to make a play. And you see, here's Ross. Team trying to block there on the top of your screen. There's Clemens coming in. There's the holding right there. That's number 79 working against number 92.
And they keep moving backwards in the red zone. 3rd and 17. Roethlisberger sacked again. Kevin Hardy.
Well, they're making all the right moves on defense. The Bengals defense tends to struggle maybe a little bit in the field where Pittsburgh has made plays, but down inside the red zone, that's when the Bengals defense has stiffened up and then been able to put pressure on Ben Roethlisberger. And that's where really this game is being decided right now, is the Bengals red zone defense has played phenomenally well in turning back Pittsburgh once they get to the 20-yard line.
Steelers forced to punt again. They were at the Cincinnati 18-yard line. And the punt from Gardocki. This time it will take a bounce. Steelers looking to save it. They do. At the 1. Brett Kiesel getting downfield along with the rest of the Pittsburgh special teamers. 33-yard punt. Cincinnati defense rising to the occasion.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Wrangler, makers of Wrangler Jeans Company, a new generation of Wrangler. IBM, the official on-demand business consultants for the NFL. And by Aspen Edge. Taste more.
Bengals with a 7-3 advantage. We are in the second quarter. Cincinnati taking on Pittsburgh. Second meeting of the season for these two teams. Bengals still looking for their first win in the division. And that penalty called against Oliver Ross cost his team a potential touchdown. Wide open Antoine Randall. So the Steelers had to punt it. Cincinnati pinned deep in its own territory with a 1st and 10 at the 2-yard line. Hand up the middle, Rudy Johnson. And he gains a couple. Chris Hope got him down low to bring him down. Coming up next, L halftime report. Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer have all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the next L halftime report. Rudy Johnson, 7 carries, 34 yards so far. He's gone over 95 yards in 5 of his last 7 games. And a penalty marker down. Johnson having a very good season, but a little bit under the radar. Nobody really talking about him on the national level.
Well, it is his ability to run the ball that has helped the Bengals turn around their force.
Full start offense, number 71. Half the distance to the goal. Still 2nd down.
That's the Pro Bowler, Willie Anderson, with a false start. Loss of 2 yards. It's half the distance. And the first penalty of the day against Cincinnati.
Well, you know, when you're trapped this close to your goal line and you running the ball, the offensive linemen are taught, get off the line of scrimmage so that you can get movement. You cannot afford to get knocked back into your own end zone. 2nd and 10 from the 2. Pittsburgh dominating time of possession. It's Cincinnati leading on the scoreboard. In to Rudy Johnson. Trying to push the pile, and they'll give him a gain of 2. Pittsburgh had a number of defenders in there, including Kendrell Bell for the Steelers. So 3rd and long upcoming. We'll call it 3rd and 8 for Cincinnati. And this is where I think Carson Palmer has to be careful in protecting the football, because on 3rd down, 3rd and long, right now Pittsburgh's bringing on that nickel and dime package. Dick LeBeau will come with the exotic blitzes and the zones behind it. And if you make a mistake with the football, not only will they intercept it, they can run it back for a touchdown. More importantly, they get great field position, so make sure you protect the football.
Want to avoid a Polamalu deja vu right now from the first meeting. On 3rd down, Palmer standing in the pocket and picked off. It's James Ferrier for the touchdown. Just the mistake that we were alluding to. And the Bengals turn it over.
It's the perfect scenario for Bill Cowher, Dick LeBeau, and the defense. They look to make big plays when they come on with their nickel and dime package. James Ferrier, he's the home run hitter on that defense. It's his 3rd interception this season. He's leading the team in tackles. He's made so many big plays on this defense now in his 3rd season with the Steelers, and they expect it. You know, Bill Cowher said, I have not had a middle linebacker since I've been here who's made more big plays than James Ferrier. And that's saying a lot, because they've had a lot of good ones at that position.
Costly mistake by Palmer. Jeff Reed on for the extra point. And Pittsburgh with a 10-7 lead. 7:03 to play, first half. Well, you called it, my man.
There's James Ferrier. Watching break and read the eyes of the quarterback. Takes him all the way to the ball. He breaks underneath this pass. And then when you get an interception this close to the goal line, it's easy to take it to the house for a touchdown.
First career interception return for a touchdown for James Ferrier, the 8-year veteran. Came over from the New York Jets in 2002, and he just made Carson Palmer pay for a tenuous throw. Kenny Watson on the return from the 4. And Watson trying to cut it to the outside. Spilled out. He got it to the 26-yard line. Well, back in week 4, we alluded to it, Cincinnati playing at Pittsburgh, and Carson Palmer was picked off by his college roommate, Troy Polamalu.
There it is, deja vu, because it's right in the shadow of their own end zone, and you see Polamalu. He's tough to tackle. You know, Carson Palmer told him, he said, there's nothing he can't do. One of the best defensive players he's ever seen. And then he runs over his college roommate to take it in for a touchdown. But we said, you get an interception that close to the end zone, most likely to be returned for a touchdown. Polamalu able to punch it in.
See if the Bengals can recover on a 1st and 10 from the 27. Palmer throwing to the open Johnson at the 38-yard line. And a 12-yard gain. It's a first down for Cincinnati. You can get complete recaps from all of today's NFL games, including insight from CBS Sports Line's NFL experts, only at CBSSportsLine.com. Well, Kendrell Bell, who has been dealing with injuries over the last year and change, limping off the field right now. Larry Foote, who had been starting there, would step in at inside linebacker.
Oh, they played well without Kendrell Bell, but they certainly would like to have him. You saw in that first down play, they decided they're going to throw the ball a little more on 1st and 2nd down, give Carson Palmer a chance to make plays against Pittsburgh's base defense as opposed to having to do it against that zone blitz attacking defense on 3rd down.
Palmer, he had 2 interceptions last week, now has 13 on the season. His first year as a starter. On 1st down from the 39, Palmer rainbows one to Johnson. Out along the far sideline. And a first down as Palmer took a shot from Larry Foote.
Yeah,
that covers 16 yards.
He's come in and completed 2 consecutive passes after throwing the interception. You see Chad Johnson working on the outside against Deshae Townsend, breaking it off. Palmer delivered that ball very well despite being under pressure, as you said, by Larry Foote. The defensive linebacker coming right up the middle, putting the hit on Carson Palmer, who had the courage to stand in there and still deliver the throw.
On 1st and 10 from the 45, back to the ground game. Rudy Johnson, juke move, and nowhere to go. He picks up a couple. Chris Hope sliding down low to bring down Rudy.
So Cincinnati's now coming back out. They've had some productive plays so far on this drive with a 2nd and 8. Wanting to get back to the running game. Yeah, they did come out throwing the ball with Carson Palmer, but you can't get away from Rudy Johnson, who has been able to get to the 2nd level of this Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
Rudy Johnson on pace for a 1,400-yard rushing season. First year as the full-time starter. Some trickery. And it's Johnson who keeps it. They were faking on the reverse. And he's able to lean forward for a gain of 4. Farrier combining with Kendrick Clancy to bring down the big bruising running back.
And surprisingly, they're able to run the ball against this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Come in ranked 2nd overall against the run, but they're getting movement against Dick LeBeau's defensive front. They run that 3-4 style, which really does give you some complication in terms of your blocking scheme. But right now, give credit to that Bengals offensive line. They are getting movement, creating running lanes for Rudy Johnson.
LeBeau, the former head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, back with the Pittsburgh coaching staff. And a 3rd and 4. Palmer in the pocket. Palmer throws and caught over the middle. T.J. Hushmanzada breaking a tackle and taking it to the 19. That's a 20-yard hookup. Hushmanzada and Polamalu in a battle of long last names.
And Palmer has looked impressive on this drive after throwing the interception. See, there is pressure there, but then look at the nice touch throw to Hushmanzada over the head of Willie Williams and just in front of Troy Polamalu, who comes in and lays a lick on T.J. Hushmanzada, who was ready to step out of the tackle. So he's filling in for Peter Warrick and doing a good job at it.
On first down from the 19. Palmer fires for the end zone. It's caught. Kelly Washington. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Bengals back in front. In between Willie Williams and Troy Polamalu.
And Carson Palmer not phased after throwing the interception for a touchdown. Comes back, leads his team down for a touchdown, and made some excellent throws on that drive. So he was able to shake off the effects of the interception, keep his poise, and then came out and made some huge plays on a very impressive 73-yard scoring drive.
First touchdown of the season for Kelly Washington. Cincinnati an extra point away from a 14-10 lead as Graham drills it. And that is showing some poise.
You see him come all the way back, so he was looking to his left, comes back, throwing over the top of Troy Polamalu, finding Kelly Washington for another touchdown for the Cincinnati Bengals.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the 265 horsepower 7-passenger Acura MDX and by Nextel. Nextel helps groups get things done. Nextel, done.
Tremendous bounce back possession for the Cincinnati Bengals. A 6-play, 73-yard drive highlighted by Carson Palmer's 4 for 4, 67 yards and a touchdown. And the Steelers' #1 ranked defense in the NFL, Cincinnati, has moved the ball on them here today.
Well, they're challenging the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary, and that's where they're making money.
Shane Graham, the kickoff. Randall L. and Coakley, the return man. And it comes down to an up man, Matt Cushing. And he carries just shy of the 30-yard line.
Kelly Washington is aligned at the slot. They don't jam him. They don't keep him out of the seam. And then watch the safety, Troy Polamalu, who should be on top of this play. His eyes are in the backfield, so once you get into that seam and behind the safety, there's nothing Willie Williams, the cornerback, can do. And Troy Polamalu should have played that over the top, but more importantly, you have to keep the slot receiver out of the seams to disrupt the timing of the throw. Excellent pass by Carson Palmer.
Now, Polamalu told us we just focus on ourselves. We don't worry about what the other team does. And they have to start worrying because Cincinnati has found some soft spots. On first down for Pittsburgh. High throw and level. Hines Ward from Madieu Williams and a flag down.
Well, I think they're going to say the receiver was in a defenseless position on this hit. And they don't want you teeing off on the receivers, but certainly that ball was thrown way too high.
Personal foul. Defense. Number 40 for a helmet-to-helmet hit. That's a 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Madieu Williams, take a listen to this hit.
You know, he did have helmet-to-helmet. You know, they teach you, see what you hit. You hit them with the face mask portion of the helmet. Maybe they don't throw that flag, but as soon as you drop the crown of your helmet to make contact with someone who also is in a defenseless position, they're going to penalize you for it every time.
Hines Ward was able to pop off the field after that stamp by Williams, but a penalty. 15 yards, 1st and 10 at the 45. Roethlisberger unloads and a flag down. It's Ward who makes the catch shy of the first down. Penalty marker on the play. 8-yard gain along the sideline. Larry Nemmers. But defensively, what a job Cincinnati has done so far today. They're taking some hits so far on this drive.
Looks like it may be a defensive holding call on the Cincinnati Bengals.
Illegal contact on the defense, number 20. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
It's Torrey James working against the receiver. And once the receiver gets outside of the framework of your body, you do have to let him go. So Cincinnati right now have to settle down. 2 penalties on consecutive plays. So they have to settle down, and can't give this Pittsburgh Steelers team anything because they're good enough to beat you all by themselves. They don't need any help.
At midfield, 3:25 remaining first half. Motion man is Ward for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger on first down. Back to Bettis. And Jerome Bettis crosses the 40. And a first down run of 11 yards. Faneca and Hardings, the key blocks. Log on to NFL.com. Vote for the 2005 Pro Bowl teams. Your vote counts. Vote today only at NFL.com or NFL on AOL. Cincinnati 14, Pittsburgh 10. Entertaining first half here at Paul Brown Stadium. Under 3 minutes to go. Second quarter. Bettis on the day, 11 carries, 50 yards, filling in for the injured Deuce Staley. First down, handoff, Bettis stops and goes. And Bettis, a spry Jerome Bettis, 3-yard gain.
Well, we said that he took Wednesday off to save his 32-year-old legs, but you could see he was well rested. What a nifty move he put on Kevin Hardy in the backfield. Jerome Bettis showing he still has the ability to make a move or two and get to the second level.
Deuce Staley cheering him on from the sideline. Bill Cowher told us he feels Staley will be back next week against Washington. Worst case scenario, 2 weeks from now with a hamstring injury. Saw a specialist earlier this week in South Carolina. On 2nd and 7. Look at the time. Roethlisberger to Dan Kreider. And Kreider shy of a first down by about a yard. Picks up 6. Brian Simmons, the linebacker, stopped him. And we hit the 2-minute warning. Carson Palmer with a strike to Kelly Washington. That's the difference right now. Cincinnati in front. Coming up on the Nextel halftime report, join Greg, Dan, and Shannon and Boomer for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up. The Nextel halftime report. Still no Plexico Burress. He left the game early, and he remains on the sideline for Pittsburgh, facing a 3rd and 1 from the 30-yard line. Cincinnati with a 14-10 lead. Roethlisberger back in his home state. Hands off. Bettis has a first down. Able to spin his way across the 25. Oliver Ross pulled from the right side.
Yeah, the bus is starting to roll off the left side of that offensive line. That's where they get the movement. Then they'll kick out here. And so it's just really very easy to run downhill and watch Jerome Bettis. You see him, now he's breaking tackles. He gets stronger as the game goes on, and he hopes that your defense gets weaker.
Landon Johnson headed to the sideline for Cincinnati. Larry Stevens now in at linebacker for the Bengals on a 1st and 10 from the 23. Roethlisberger, pump fake, tuck and run. Roethlisberger across the 20 and takes a shot. It was Madieu Williams laying the wood once again. A 4-yard gain for Big Ben.
Again, we said it was important for the Cincinnati Bengals to contain Ben Roethlisberger. Good things happen when he gets outside of the pocket, and he's so mobile, so athletic, and he can make things happen once he's on the run.
On 2nd and 6, Roethlisberger steps up again. Roethlisberger, shake and bake, and he crosses the 20, where Torrey James was there to greet him. Give him a gain of 1.
And he's too young to learn how to slide. He's still running around. Have to be careful because on both plays, Madieu Williams and Torrey James was able to lay a lick on a young quarterback. But he's a big, strong kid. But he's going to have to learn to get down.
And a timeout. Pittsburgh uses it there first as we check in another edition. It's the wisdom of Solomon.
Oh, and with the emphasis on the 5-yard bump rule, some players are putting up career numbers. Brandon Stokely is taking advantage of his 5 yards to freedom with new career highs in just about every category. How about Antonio Gates? He's set to break the single season for touchdowns by a tight end, and Eric Johnson in San Francisco is on pace to catch more passes than any tight end in a single season. It's the slot receivers, the tight ends. They're putting up huge numbers, taking advantage of that 5-yard bump rule. They talked about it today on the NFL Today. The guys are just putting up huge numbers in the passing game. And as you can see, Manning, Culpepper, the only quarterbacks to have 5 touchdown passes in 3 different games. Had never happened before this year. Already 2 quarterbacks have done it, and we're only at the halfway mark.
3rd and 5 from the 18. 4 receiver set. Roethlisberger steps up on 3rd down. Fakes once. Roethlisberger loses the ball. He fumbled it. Justin Smith on the recovery. And another big defensive play from Cincinnati.
Well, we said he would have to be careful because he got outside the pocket. I think the problem was he actually doubled back. He got away from Justin Smith the first time, and then once he started back, he lost the football. You see, Justin Smith is right on top of him. Now he gets out. I think you have to continue to go that way. Once he went back, see the pressure there? He drops the ball. You have to give credit to Justin Smith, who never quit on the play. Continued to hound and chase Ben Roethlisberger. Once he dropped the ball, Justin Smith pounces on it. The Bengals come up with a huge play on defense.
It has been a red zone nightmare for the Steelers in this first half. 36 seconds remain. At Cincinnati with a 14-10 lead. Go conservative with Rudy Johnson sidestepping 2 tacklers and tackled down after the gain of 5 by Willie Williams. Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger hasn't had any clunkers yet in his young career. He's undefeated at 7-0. But last week, the numbers were the worst that he has put up so far as a pro.
He's going to have to get his composure. The key is that they're playing from behind. Cincinnati keeps the lead. It's going to put more onus on Ben Roethlisberger to have to carry this football team, something you do not want to do with a rookie quarterback playing on the road.
End of the first half. Cincinnati with a 14-10 lead. The Nextel halftime report is coming up. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Getting set for second half action here in Cincinnati. Bengals lead the Steelers 14-10. We welcome you back into the broadcast booth. Ian Eagle, Solomon Wilcots. It's Pittsburgh who came in with the big reputation on defense, #1 ranked in the NFL. But it's Cincinnati who defensively has come up with some huge plays.
They've come up with some huge plays. Pittsburgh has been able to move the ball, but once they get to the red zone, this Cincinnati Bengals defense has stood up and they've made the plays necessary to turn back that Pittsburgh Steeler offense, putting pressure on the young rookie quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger. Right now they have 4 sacks in the first half, so their ability to pressure Ben Roethlisberger and make plays in the red zone has really bode well for them, help them to have the lead right now.
As we check out our fantasy notebook, Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Palmer, this is the second of many meetings for these talented young QBs. You know, Roethlisberger has not made the big mistake, but he did turn the football over late in that second quarter. Palmer had the pick.
Yeah, he's had the fumble, and Carson Palmer, though, has been able to bounce back, get the ball into the end zone. I think Jerome Bettis has run the ball well so far in this game. It's just that once they get into the red zone, they can't punch it in. And Rudy Johnson is doing enough to help carry the load, along with Chad Johnson, making plays on the outside for Carson Palmer. And I think they've been able to keep the Pittsburgh Steelers receivers, Plexico Burress and Hines Ward, in checks. 5 receptions between the 2 of them, but no really explosive plays deep down the football field.
Plexico Burress, a hamstring injury for the Steelers. His return is questionable. The Bengals are 6-1 in the month of November under Marvin Lewis. If you remember a year ago, this is when Cincinnati made their move, got themselves into the playoff picture, only to lose their last 2 games of the year and fall short at 8-8. Same record as they had 1 year ago. The Bengals kick off with a 14-10 lead. Randall L. on the return, had the big punt return in the first half and dragged down at the 30-yard line by Anthony Mitchell. A 24-yard return. Let's take a look at the halftime numbers. Pittsburgh, if you look at time of possession, you figure, well, Steelers have to be winning this game. Not the case.
Well, they're not able to translate the time that they have the football. They're not able to turn it into points. And so while they are able to run the football, 74 yards rushing in the first half, I think it's very productive. Not a lot of passing yards, but certainly holding on to the football longer than the Bengals, but then not able to punch it into the end zone. And that's where the Bengals have come up big on the defensive end.
On 1st and 10 from the 29. Still no Burress. It's Randall L. and Ward for the Steelers. Handoff. Bettis off the gut, and Jerome Bettis gets out across the 35-yard line. 7-yard gain.
Well, eye on the Steelers. You said they had to dominate in the running game. I think they have, just haven't gotten into the end zone. Roethlisberger has not been a positive factor. He's been sacked 4 times and turned it over. And then creating chaos for Carson Palmer, I think they have been able to do that enough to get the turnover and then running the interception back for a touchdown. But they're going to have to keep it up and force Carson Palmer to make even more mistakes in the second half.
Burress has the baseball cap on. That's not a very good sign if you're expecting to see him again today. Give to Bettis. Has a hole. And Jerome Bettis busting through. It's a 9-yard gain And a first down for the Steelers.
Well, Marvin Lewis talked about tackling on the perimeter. He said so many people, they think about your defensive line when you're not able to stop the run. That time Bettis was able to come off tackle, come downhill, but yet they made the tackle on the perimeter. He was not able to get yards after contact. So it's the tackling that really is also helping to keep the Bengals in this game.
From the 44, a 1st and 10 for Pittsburgh. Just underway, second half here in Cincinnati. Bettis again. And Jerome Bettis brought down quickly. Rogers Beckett in on that hit. A loss of 1. NFL.com fan poll question. Which 4 and 5 team entering Week 11 has the best shot at making the playoffs? Arizona, Chicago, Cincinnati, Detroit, Houston, or New Orleans? Cast your vote at NFL.com.
I think we're looking at them. I think the Bengals, because their defense continues to improve, I think it's going to be a long shot for any of the teams on that list to play in the postseason.
2nd and 11. Shifting over is Ward on 2nd down. Roethlisberger standing tall in the pocket, directing traffic, and incomplete. Lunging attempt by Jeremy Tooman. Brian Simmons, the linebacker, covering the tight end.
Well, Brian Simmons is a phenomenal football player. Not only is he good at playing the run, but he's been extra good at playing and defending against the pass. Already has 2 interceptions this year, returned 1 for a touchdown, had a big interception last week against the Washington Redskins. You see him matched up in coverage against the tight end and doing an excellent job at it.
3rd and long. Simmons, the leading tackler this season for Cincinnati. Willie Parker, the rookie from North Carolina, is now in there for Pittsburgh. Out of the shotgun, Roethlisberger. 3rd and 11. Ben steps up, throws, incomplete. Tried to loop one for Ward, and Torrey James at the very last moment able to make the play. A flag down.
Torrey James made an excellent play on the ball, distracted it enough behind Ward to drop it.
Number 68. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
That's Keetrick Vincent, the right guard. They get the holding call on, but the Bengals, you know, I think Roethlisberger has plenty of time standing back there to deliver the pass. It's really their coverage on the back end that has done wonders to help this defense in their passing sets.
The rookie, Kewan Ratliff from Florida, 2nd-round pick. Originally from Columbus, Ohio. He is the return man for Chris Gardocki's punt. And Cincinnati with a 14-10 lead, making a major statement on defense here this afternoon. Gardocki did not get all of that one. A high bounce, and now Ratliff misplayed it. It'll get touched up right around the 18-yard line. 38-yard punt. Cincinnati will have its first possession of the second half when we come back. Ball control for Pittsburgh usually translates into a lead. Not so this afternoon. It's Cincinnati that has been more opportunistic than the Steelers have, and Pittsburgh trails the Bengals 14-10. 1st and 10 for Cincinnati at the 19-yard line. And off to Rudy Johnson. And stumbles for a gain of 2.
Well, the eye on the Bengals, we said they had to stop Jerome Bettis and be able to tackle him. I don't think they've done a good job. They've tackled, but he has been very effective in the running game. Johnson & Johnson had to help Carson Palmer. They've been able to do that. And then to contain Ben Roethlisberger in the pocket, they've been excellent at doing that. So the Bengals right now, I think, are grading very high on what they wanted to accomplish in this football game.
49 rushing yards for Johnson. 2nd and 8 for Cincinnati. Palmer throwing to a spot. And incomplete. Looking for Chad Johnson in a matchup with Deshae Townsend. It'll be 3rd and 8. Coming up Monday on CBS, it's a holiday comedy feast beginning with Still Standing and Listen Up. Then don't miss TV's most watched comedy, Everybody Loves Raymond. And catch Charlie Sheen's Real Life Wife and Baby on 2.5 Men, followed by Monday's #1 show, CSI Miami, plus The Late Show with David Letterman. Monday, right here on CBS. A 4-receiver set, dime package. 6 defensive backs for Pittsburgh. Kenny Watson in the backfield on a 3rd and 8. Blocking is there. Palmer guns. And a smash from Polamalu on Kevin Walton. Short of a 1st down. Big collision as Polamalu does his job. Limits him to a gain of 4. Take a listen.
Ooh, I can feel that one way up here. Carson Palmer's former roommate said there's nothing he can't do And he can lay a lick on you. He can play the ball. I like what I see in Troy Polamalu.
Kyle Larson will punt it. Antoine Randall. Two strong returns in the first quarter for Pittsburgh. High sailing punt for Larson. Randall forced to go back to his own 28. Makes one move. He's going to circle back. Antoine Randall has the speed. Trying to cut to the perimeter. Here's Randall to the 45 and a stutter step. He created something out of nothing for a 23-yard run back after the 48-yard punt. So Pittsburgh will have it at the 49-yard line when we return.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 39. Cadillac and the new STS with available performance-tuned all-wheel drive. Breakthrough. And by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here.
They are sold out here at Paul Brown Stadium. 65,000 on hand for a big divisional showdown. The Bengals and the Steelers 14-10. Cincinnati leads it. 11:07 to go in the third quarter on a first down from midfield. Roethlisberger under pressure again. Avoids the heat. And Roethlisberger caught from behind. Kevin Hardy applying that pressure and chasing down the rookie. And Hardy slow to get up after the 4-yard gain.
Hardy was relentless in pursuing the quarterback. See, he starts on the right side. He ends up going to the left and then flushing Ben Roethlisberger out of the pocket. But watching pursue the quarterback, never giving up, finally catching him over on the sideline. But they know that he's a very athletic rookie quarterback who can run around. But look at the times he's been hurried, the times he's been knocked down. And, of course, they've been able to sack him 4 times in this game.
On a 2nd and 6 to the ground game. Bettis. And he picks up a yard, 2. Nice roll, maybe 3. Torrey James on the tackle. Monday, Dave is all new with Stupid Pet Tricks, plus Colin Farrell. And later this week, don't miss an all-new Thanksgiving Late Show with a visit from who else? Dave's mom. That's coming up on the Late Show with David Letterman.
You know, we talked about how the Bengals had to match the physical toughness of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're doing that. They're putting hits. This is a hard-hitting football game, as Bill Cowher told us it would be.
3rd and 3. Full receiver look for Pittsburgh. Out of the shotgun, Roethlisberger tosses for the first down. Antoine Randall inside the 40-yard line. Terrell Roberts touched him up.
And we talk about it being a physical game. The Bengals came out understanding they have to get to the rookie quarterback, cause him to be uncomfortable. Dwayne Clemens coming on one play and then on another to get the sack. You see Kevin Hardy pouring in 4 sacks on the day, but constantly putting pressure on Ben Roethlisberger. So that's where it starts. You can tell the Bengals are coming out and they're trying to match the tempo and intensity of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Clemens has 3 of those sacks. A 1st and 10 from the 37. Play fake. Roethlisberger steps up. Roethlisberger, soft throw, and Bettis can't catch it. Has only 1 reception this season. AFC North standings. Pittsburgh a 7-game winning streak at 8-1. Cincinnati at 4-5, trying to keep pace with Baltimore in the AFC North.
TJ Hushmanzada told us we're just trying to make it 5-5. They feel like if they can get to 500, they'll take it from there. And so it has to start with knocking off the AFC North bully, trying to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Bettis in for the injured Deuce Staley. And now a 2nd and 10 for Pittsburgh from the 37. Roethlisberger, quick throw. It's Dan Kreider, sure-handed fullback. Landon Johnson, the rookie, with a stop. And a 4-yard gain on the quick toss.
And even when we talk with Bill Cowher, he understands, and he's trying to get his players to understand that now the bullseye is on our back. We knocked off 2 undefeated teams when we beat the Patriots and then the Eagles, and now everyone is looking to get them. So, you know, he said everyone's going to come in. We're going to have to take everyone's best shot, and that's where now they're the king of the hill, and everyone's trying to knock them off.
An important 3rd and 6. 5 receivers deployed for Roethlisberger, an empty backfield. Cincinnati crowds the line on a 3rd and 6 from the 33. Rush coming. Roethlisberger! He's devoured by Madieu Williams. on a safety blitz.
So much of what both teams do on third down is very identical. Marvin Lewis serves with Bill Cowher and Dick LeBeau. There's Madieu Williams coming off the corner. And watch the left tackle. He will not even see him coming. And he stays down. Marvell Smith goes down inside. And that's the way they want him to go, so that Madieu Williams can come scot-free, coming off the bottom of the screen, coming in for the Bengals' 5th sack on the day.
First career sack for the Maryland product, Madieu Williams. Pittsburgh punting again. It looked like they had some momentum on this drive, but it's thwarted by the Cincinnati defense. Gardaki's punt, caught by Ratliff. D1 Ratliff. Tackled out across the 15 by Sean Morey. And a 9-yard return. Cincinnati has been all over the field on the defensive side of the ball today. Cincinnati Bengals, first of 3 straight games within the division. They've got Cleveland coming up and the Baltimore Ravens, which will probably determine how this season is going to go for Marvin Lewis and company. They lead this one 14-10. And a first and 10 at their own 16. Handoff. Rudy Johnson. And Johnson able to pick up a yard, maybe a yard and a half. Hoke and Foot combined to bring him down.
And the Steelers come in with the #1 ranked defense, and Carson Palmer has done a real good job of completing passes all over the field. 9 passes completed so far on the day, and you can see he's hit just about every area of the football field, and even going deep up top for that 9th completion over there to his receiver, Chad Johnson.
2nd and 9. Palmer throwing, and it's knocked away. He was looking for Rudy Johnson, and Joey Porter, the linebacker, backed up in coverage against the running back.
And I think it's important, the fact that he is throwing the ball and using the entire field. And you know what? Has not been sacked today. But this defense from Pittsburgh is so good. If you can keep him standing up, he's going to be able to complete even more passes. Over the last 2 games, he hasn't been sacked at all. And now going into the second half of today's game, they're still keeping Carson Palmer very much protected.
Steelers came in tied with Baltimore and Philly for an NFL high 28 sacks. As Solomon mentioned, none today. This is a 3rd and 9, and there's the first. Palmer goes down. Aaron Smith, who has been on a sack tear of late for the Steelers.
Well, Aaron Smith, he's bringing it off the corner, and he's going to come from right here. He'll just come right off the top of your screen. He's very good at doing that. And actually, he's the nose tackle. It's a stunt play, and that's why they were able to confuse him. And they were able to use Travis Kinski, and he was able to slant down inside. They bring Aaron Smith from that nose tackle position all the way around and comes in to get the sack.
And a loss of 9. Kyle Larson to punt it. Randall L. standing at the 47-yard line. He's got some room to work with. That was a line drive. Randall L. back to the 45. Spin move to the 47-yard line. Limited to a 3-yard return after the 48-yard punt. Kenny Watson went down the field to make the play, and a tight one here in Cincy.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Levitra. Ask your doctor about it today. Levitra, when it counts. And by the new Chevrolets. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months. An American revolution.
We welcome you back to Cincinnati. The Bengals trying to get to the 500 mark. They enter action at 4-5. Steelers, and there are a lot of Steeler fans on hand, including that man with a homemade hat, are 8-1. Pittsburgh has been perfect with Ben Roethlisberger under center this year as the starting quarterback. The Ohio native faces a 1st and 10 at the 47-yard line. 14-10 Cincinnati. Handoff. Jerome Bettis, and he ran into a wall after a gain of 2. Landon Johnson driven backwards.
Hey, keeping Ben Roethlisberger in the pocket, you want to make sure he's not able to throw the ball all over the football field. Has completed 10 passes today, the lion's share of which have come less than 10 yards over here, and then only 1 pass that came on the first play of the game that has gone for more than 20 yards. So give credit to the Bengals pass rush and then their secondary for keeping this pass offense under wraps by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No Burris, out with a hamstring injury. 2nd and 8. Up the middle, Jerome Bettis. And a first down, blocked by Marvell Smith to help spring him loose. And he picks up 8. Coming up Tuesday on CBS, The Amazing Race is off to a running start as Entertainment Weekly declares it's the best reality show on television. Don't miss the new Amazing Race. It's Tuesday at 9, 8 Central here on CBS. Jerome Bettis, 87 yards on the ground today. He has gone back-to-back over 100 the last 2 weeks in the absence of Deuce Staley, sitting out with a hamstring injury. On first down. Take the handoff. Roethlisberger steps up. Roethlisberger floats one and caught by Tooman. Oh, what a play by Ben. Kept that play alive by avoiding the rush and looping a pass for his tight end.
It is his mobility that creates opportunities for the receivers. John Thornton, 97. Once you miss the quarterback, so you have to make that tackle. And now what happens is the pass coverage breaks down. Landon Johnson drops coverage on Jeremy Tooman, who understands if you stay alive, Ben Roethlisberger will find you.
But the red zone has been like kryptonite today for the Steelers. On a 1st and 10 at the 16. Handoff. Bettis. And he picks up 3 yards. Kevin Hardy got in on the stop for Cincinnati. We come up on 4 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter. We talked about the red zone offense, 4 possessions. They have 3 points to show for.
Only 1 field goal, no touchdowns. This is where the Bengals defense has come up big. Jerome Bettis, 91 yards rushing in this game. I think you have to allow him to help you down inside the red zone to power it in for a score.
2nd and 7 for the Steelers. Line of scrimmage is the 13. They trail 14-10. Roethlisberger on the gear. Bettis trying to cut it to the outside. And Bettis is brought down. Anthony Mitchell with a lunging tackle. It's a gain of 5.
There you see they're starting to heat up the bus. Jerome Bettis pounding it off that left tackle. And it's just really trying to get blockers out in front and allow Jerome Bettis to find a hole. You see him able to get to the perimeter, still has the speed to do so at 32 years old. And they're able to make the tackle, but right now it's Jerome Bettis. I think he gives them the best chance, not only to pick up a first down on 3rd and 2, but the best chance to get it in for a score.
3rd tight end is eligible. Number 78, Max Starks, a backup tackle. This is a 3rd and 2. Play clock is down to 1. Roethlisberger gets the play off. Play action. Swing pass. Oh, perfect feed to Kreider for the touchdown. Brian Simmons in coverage against the fullback, and Ben Roethlisberger put it exactly where it had to be.
Boy, it was on the money, because if this ball's thrown just a little bit behind Kreider, Brian Simmons is going to make the play. Brian Simmons dropped coverage, and I'm sure Marvin Lewis is saying, where were we? Because if you allow Kreider, there's no way he can outrun Simmons, but if you're looking into the backfield, he's going to be able to get that extra step, and that's when Ben Roethlisberger threw just a perfect pass for a touchdown.
Jeff Reed on for the extra point. 6 plays. 53-yard drive. And the Pittsburgh Steelers go out in front. 17-14. Kreider, his first touchdown of the season. The fullback getting involved. Dan Kreider, the fullback, involved in the passing game. 8-yard touchdown reception, the 3rd of his career, and he's given Pittsburgh a 17-14 lead as Brian Simmons was getting an earful along the sideline. He has been a reliable linebacker with his Cincinnati team, but did not make the tackle on Kreider to save the score. Russell on the return. And Cliff Russell cutting it to the outside. Russell, good fake along the sideline, but Jeff Reed didn't buy it. And a flag down.
Oh, Jeff Reed grabbed everything he could to get Russell out of bounds.
So a pair of flags come down, and a 3rd is out there as well.
They may tack on more yards to the return.
That could have been a hold, though, back at the 28. And that is what they're discussing right now as Russell broke free. What did Cincinnati do on special teams, if anything, to give him that kind of room? They're pointing in both directions.
circumference at this
Yeah.
point.
Do you read lips by any chance?
No.
No. All right, then we'll just let him tell us. 2:37 to go on the third quarter. Pittsburgh with a 3-point lead. And Larry Nemmers.
Holding. During the return, number 83. Personal foul. 15-yard face mask. Number 3. By rule, the 2 fouls after possession change will put the ball in play at the spot of the return team's foul. First down, Cincinnati.
Kevin Walter called on the hold. Jeff Reed, the face mask. Monday, a new CSI Miami. Modern-day Pirates are wreaking havoc off the coast of Florida. Don't miss a new episode of Monday's most watched show at CSI Miami at 10, 9 Central, here on CBS.
So Pittsburgh has now turned the tables, getting the lead with 2:37 to go in the third quarter. Certainly don't want to get away from Rudy Johnson. See what they've done so far in this quarter. Minus 2 yards right now for Cincinnati on offense.
And a 1st and 10 back at the 28. That's where the hold took place to spring Russell loose. Handoff. It's Rudy Johnson through a lane. And Johnson tackled by Polamalu. Steinbach on that left side. And a flag down. 7-yard gain. Flag thrown at the 30.
Holding during the run, number 85. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat, first down.
Back-to-back penalties. Chad Johnson gets tagged with that one at the 2:30 mark of the third
And it was
quarter.
out on the perimeter, really had nothing to do with the play. And Marvin Lewis is really upset because the play had already broken. You saw the flag come in very late. But Chad Johnson's going to have to do a better job of fronting up the defensive back, staying in front and not grabbing hold of the cloth. Right now, if they can keep their composure. But this is what Pittsburgh wanted to do. You turn it around, you get the lead, and you put the onus on Carson Palmer, the young quarterback, to have to make the play for his football team.
4th penalty of the day against the Bengals, and it sets up a 1st and 18 at the 20. Palmer will throw it. And Polamalu on T.J. Hushmanzada. A 3-yard gain through the air as Polamalu came up with a stop. We head to New York. NFL Today update. Greg Gumbel.
All right, Ian, we head to Soldier Field in Chicago where Peyton Manning is at it again. Reggie Wayne on the receiving end of a 27-yard touchdown strike, his 4th of the day. Manning's 35th of the year, 34-3. Colts, 7 minutes to play in the third, guys.
Greg, I'm not sure he's human. It is getting to the ridiculous stage with Peyton Manning week in and week out. On a 2nd and 15 now for Cincinnati. Palmer airing it out. Brought in by Washington. Across the 45-yard line. And a first down for the Bengals as Palmer puts some air under it. 21 yards.
Well, Pittsburgh, they're coming with the pressure, but that time it was protected very well, giving Carson Palmer time to go down the sideline to Kelly Washington. See, Willie Williams falls down, and that's what allows Washington a chance to come back and catch the ball. Now he has to get back to the huddle and look to make another play.
Under a minute to go now in the third quarter. Pittsburgh with a 17-14 lead. 1st and 10 from the 45. Palmer, deep ball. Palmer looking long. Incomplete. Washington with a diving attempt as Hope and Polamalu, the safeties, were back in coverage. A flag down at the 37-yard line.
And it's going to go against Pittsburgh in the secondary.
Illegal contact on the defense, number 26. That's a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
26 to Shea Townsend, the cornerback for Dick LeBeau's defense.
And what you see from the Cincinnati Bengals and their offensive coordinator, Bob Bratkowski, they're challenging this Pittsburgh Steelers secondary. They believe they can make plays down the field throwing the ball. You see, they nearly had another one with Kelly Washington. They're not afraid to challenge double coverage. If the safety's over the top, that's where they've been able to make plays already. Chad Johnson made a big play down the sideline. Kelly Washington has made a play over the middle of the field. So they're going to continue to challenge Pittsburgh secondary.
47 seconds remain in the third. Spot the football at the 50. And a 1st and 10 for Cincinnati. Back to the running game. Rudy Johnson shedding one tackler. And Johnson able to turn it upfield. Flag thrown back at the 46-yard line as Johnson was making moves And Cincinnati called on another hold. They came in averaging just under 6 penalties per game. This will be number 5 against Marvin Lewis's team.
And when you see the play,
Holding during the run, 10 yards previous spot. Repeat, first down.
you see the play made by Troy Polamalu, who just stuffed the Bengals left guard, Eric Steinbach, who was the pulling guard on that play. And that's what Carnell Lake was very good at, coming up at that strong safety position, as did Troy Polamalu. When you can take on pulling guards, big offensive linemen, and he delivered a whack. He's pretty big himself, 212 pounds, so has a strong, solid base to take on offensive linemen and turn that run by Rudy Johnson back in to the pursuing defense.
What a difference we've seen in Troy Polamalu in year 2. He admitted he didn't know where he fit in as a rookie. Now a 1st and 20. Palmer, quick strike. And complete to Chad Johnson for 3 yards. Palmer had to get rid of it quickly.
Yeah, he was able to get rid of it, sensing the blitz. Got the ball over to Chad Johnson.
End of the 3rd quarter. Pittsburgh out in front, 17-14 on Cincinnati. As we begin the 4th quarter here in Cincinnati, Pittsburgh with a 17-14 lead on the Bengals. Ian Eagle, Solomon Wilcots, and the rest of our CBS crew. Important game within the AFC North. Cincinnati looking for its first divisional win and trying to stay in the playoff hunt. Pittsburgh looking for its 8th consecutive victory. 17-14. Pittsburgh leads it. A 2nd and 17 for the Bengals. Palmer throwing. Incomplete. Look at all the white jerseys in the area of Chad Johnson. It's going to be 3rd and long. Tonight, CBS proudly presents a new Hallmark Hall of Fame production starring Blythe Danner, Peter Fonda, Jack Palance, Peter Riegert, and Faye Dunaway. Don't miss TV Guide's Sunday movie pick based on Ann Tyler's best-selling novel, Back When We Were Grown-Ups. That's tonight at 9, 8 Central on CBS. Just underway, 4th quarter. Paul Brown Stadium, 3rd and 17 for the Bengals. They trail by 3. Palmer in the pocket. Incomplete. Through the hands of Matt Schobel. Would have been short of a 1st down. But Schobel unable to see it into his hands.
Yeah, Schobel has to make that catch. Don't know if he would have picked up the 1st down anyway. Looked like Pittsburgh Steelers were in position to make the tackle. So now it's going to be on their defense. A chance to make a play, but first they have to start with trying to field a punt or trying to stop Antoine Randall, who's been huge today.
Kyle Larson, the punter. Randall standing at his own 17-yard line. High spiraling kick. Randall forced to go back to his own 12. One spin move. Randall flag down. And Randall is bottled up at the 20-yard line. Penalty marker on the play as Robert Gathers came downfield, the big defensive lineman, to make the play on special teams. But it's in the area of a hold for Pittsburgh.
Illegal block in the back, number 24. Half the distance to the goal from the spot of the foul. 1st down, Pittsburgh.
Ike Taylor, he's in his 2nd year from Louisiana Lafayette. They'll back it up for the Steelers after the illegal block. Pittsburgh, though, with a 17-14 advantage. The penalty called on Taylor backs the Steelers up to their own 6-yard line. And a 1st and 10 for Pittsburgh. They've got a 3-point lead, 14:38 to go. We're in the 4th quarter. Bettis in the backfield. Kreider in front of him on 1st down. Roethlisberger to throw it. And complete. Hines Ward able to turn it up. Kewan Ratliff makes the stop. It's a 6-yard gain. Nobody escapes the wrath of Bill Cowher. That includes special teams coach Kevin Spencer after that mistake by Taylor.
You know, Bill Cowher used to be a special teams coach when he was in Kansas City as well as with the Cleveland Browns, and now he's giving an earful to Ike Taylor. And Willie Williams said, hey, back up off the coach now, though. You know, all you can do is listen. It's a one-way conversation with Bill Cowher.
2nd and 4 from the 12. Roethlisberger 13 of 18. Handoff. And Bettis The bruising running style gets the bus 4 as Moore combines with Beckett to bring him down. Very, very close to a first down.
This is the formula used by the Pittsburgh Steelers constantly. You get the lead, you get into the fourth quarter, and then you allow the offensive line and Jerome Bettis to take over the football game, to hammer and wear down the defense. And now what they want to do is try to eat as much time off the clock on this possession as they possibly can. Hopefully they can get a score here to cement and ice the victory, but more importantly, use the offensive line and Bettis to wear down the defense and try to take time off the clock.
And a new set of downs for Bill Cowher's team to work with. Jerome Bettis has just cracked 100 for the 3rd straight week. Somewhere he has found the fountain of youth in the absence of Deuce Staley. Bettis coming off his worst season last year. Amazero was named the starter. Bettis ultimately got the job back. Now this year stepping forward for the 8-1 Pittsburgh Steelers on first down from the 16. Roethlisberger, a floater to the sideline. Antoine Randall. That covers 11 yards and a first down for Pittsburgh. Coming up, the Subway postgame show. Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer have all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Subway postgame show. You're right. This is Pittsburgh's philosophy. Have the lead, get to the fourth quarter, use the clock, mix in the pass when you have to, and don't let your quarterback make a mistake. And that's what Roethlisberger has done in his short stint as a starter. 7-0 as a rookie. Handoff. Bettis. Nowhere to go. Hardy touched him up first, and then Clemens finished him off for a loss of 1 on the play.
And if you don't believe Jerome Bettis can still get it done, you have to be a believer after what I've seen over the last 3 weeks, including his 23 carries today. He's carried the ball 84 times in the last 3 ball games and has been tremendously productive. Now 99 yards when it's said and done. He'll have that 3rd straight 100-yard rushing game today.
Just ducked under 100 with that loss of 1 on first down. This is a 2nd and 11 for Pittsburgh. Crowding the line, fake the handoff. Rush is coming. Roethlisberger, he avoids it. Roethlisberger, touch feed for Bettis. So Ben Roethlisberger avoided Rogers Beckett on the safety blitz and was able to put one up high for Bettis, a 3-yard gain.
How many times have we said, you got to contain Ben Roethlisberger? Listen up, Rogers Beckett. When you come in, you have to be prepared to make a tackle on an elusive quarterback. He's not going to just stand there and let you tackle him. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, very mobile. And then look at the touch throw to Jerome Bettis. We talk about his ability to extend the play and really be able to be creative and help guys get open. He did it on that play.
Veron Haynes checks in. Bettis to the sideline. 3rd and 8 for Pittsburgh. 11:26 to go in the 4th. Here's Roethlisberger. Pump fake. And Roethlisberger is dumped. Justin Smith for Cincinnati.
They have 5 sacks and could have had more, but they get their 6th one here. Justin Smith, he's going to come from here, coming right up the middle. He's doing an excellent job of just fighting pressure. See, he never gives up. And then when he gets there, he wraps up completely with both arms, bringing Ben Roethlisberger to the ground.
They had 5 last week in the win from 5 different players over Washington. They've got 6 today, a season high. Pushmanzada is now the return man. He steps in for the rookie Rattler. Flag down, and the play is whistled dead before Gardocki gets rid of it. Line of scrimmage was the 20.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense, number 21. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
So another penalty, this time Ricardo Copley, another young defensive back. And they back it up.
And that's where Bill Cowher is really upset with his special teams. He's gotten some plays out of Antoine Randall, but you know, he expects to win that phase of the game each and every week.
This should mean solid field position for Cincinnati. Gardocki to Pushmanzada. High punt. Pushmanzada catches cleanly at the 36. Makes one move, tries to go up the middle and cannot. Good coverage down the field from Pittsburgh, and Ike Taylor redeeming himself for the penalty from earlier. 2 sacks on the day for Justin Smith. The Bengals defense, they've come up big.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Remington Titanium Shavers, the Sony Grand Vega HD TV, high definition like no other, and by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Cincinnati Bengals had allowed just 13 points in their last 2 games. They've given up 17 to the Steelers here today. They trail by 3. Best field position of the day to start with for Cincinnati from the 36. Back to throw it. Palmer. And gets rid of it with the rush coming from Joey Porter. And a flag down.
That was a late flag. And Joey Porter got up and lobbied to the officials, and I think the officials heard his plead.
Intentional grounding. Number 9. Spot foul. Loss it down. Second down.
The question was Rudy Johnson close enough to that play as Palmer released it?
He was close enough, but the rule states that this pass has to at least make it back to the line of scrimmage. And let's face it, he did get rid of the ball to avoid the sack, and the ball never made it back to the line of scrimmage, and that's why they called him for intentional grounding.
And it goes down as a loss of 12 and a 2nd and 22. There goes the field position for Cincinnati. Handoff. Rudy Johnson. And a flag thrown as he cut it across the 30-yard line. Polamalu able to range over and make the play. And Pittsburgh pointing at Cincinnati.
Offense, number 85. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Just not a lot of penalties in the first half. They are piling on right now for both of these teams as Marvin Lewis has the game face on. Coming up tonight, what do you get when Jim Carrey goes on 60 Minutes? A side of him that's rarely on display. That's tonight here on CBS.
And last week, or I should say when we talked with the Bengals about last week's game against the Redskins, they played great in the first half. And they sat down and they told us we have to play a complete game, 4 complete quarters. And now the penalties are starting to mount up. You see 4 here in the second half really has hurt their ability to move the football.
Out of the shotgun, 2nd and long. Palmer guns, complete. Chad Johnson able to catch it and curl as he picks up 13 yards on the pass play.
Chad Johnson is scary good. Does a very good job of catching the ball in traffic, playing the ball, and not only that, he comes back to the football and moves as well as squaring himself up on the ball as it's coming in. And when you move toward the ball, you really help your quarterback because the defensive backs are not able to intercept that ball and move in and knock it down. And then he's good at making the catch, then turning upfield to create extra yards after making that grab. 3rd in the
AFC entering today in receiving yards behind Jimmy Smith and Andre Johnson of Houston. And a 3rd and 14 now for Cincinnati. Out of the gun, under 9 minutes to play. Palmer thrown down. Porter got him cleanly.
It's a poor play by the left tackle, Levi Jones. He tries to cut block Joey Porter, and Joey Porter's not having it. See him coming right here? He'll try to cut block him, and he'll whiff on this play. Look at that. You leave your quarterback exposed from the blind side. Carson Palmer never had a chance because Levi Jones failed to front up and use proper technique in trying to block Joey Porter.
Terrible drive for Cincinnati. 2nd sack of the day for Pittsburgh. Kyle Larson, the punter. Antoine Randall shading over to the 30. Tackle quickly. Loose football. At the 25, Pittsburgh's got it. Reggie Miles came firing through on Antoine Randall. It's a loss of 4 on the return.
We told you this would be a hard-hitting football game. Reggie Miles proves us right as he comes in to put the lick on Antoine Randall.
How dominant has Pittsburgh been on the ground over the last month? The numbers tell the entire story. 770 yards. That includes today compared to their opponents.
Jerome Bettis has 351 of those yards, so they've been red hot. That's against teams like the Patriots, the Eagles, Cleveland last week, and now working against the Cincinnati Bengals defense.
And they take over a 1st and 10 at their own 26-yard line. Roethlisberger in the pocket. Pocket collapsing. Roethlisberger He's sacked by Landon Johnson. Rookie on rookie. And the 7th sack of the day for this Cincinnati defense.
Oh, the Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier. Here he is. This is London. He is just incredible. The middle linebacker, Landon Johnson, he's doing an excellent job of getting in the face of the quarterback. You see him coming around, and Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator for the Bengals, just sending everyone, as many people as he can, to put pressure on Ben Roethlisberger.
They are 1 sack shy of matching a team record of 8. Now a 2nd and 16 for Pittsburgh. On the give, Bettis breaks 1 tackle and spun down as he crossed the 25-yard line. That's a 9-yard rip for the bus. 7.5 to go on the 4th. Coming up Tuesday on CBS, The Amazing Race is off to a running start. Critics are already saying it's as thrilling as ever. In this global competition, it's not how far they go, but what happens along the way. Don't miss an all-new Amazing Race. It's Tuesday at 9, 8 Central, here on CBS. Critical 3rd and 7. 5 receivers set. 6 defensive backs for Cincinnati. Bettis over 100, 108. On 3rd and 7, Roethlisberger broken up. Lee Mays in a matchup with Terrell Roberts. Big stop by the Bengals on defense.
It's all about the ability to hit the receiver. And you see Roethlisberger goes to the right guy, and Terrell Roberts, look at the hit on Lee Mays, jarring that ball loose. We said it would be hard hitting. The players have shown up. They're tackling well. They're hitting well. It's a good, hard-fought football game in the AFC North. We knew it would be a slugfest, and boy, have they lived up to it.
A punt from Chris Gardocki with T.J. Houshmandzadeh waiting. Big kick. Houshmandzadeh from the 19. Makes 1 move. Houshmandzadeh up the middle. Crosses the 30. And tackled down right around the 34 by James Harrison on special teams. Crunching block as a flag goes down late. Late flag is tossed in Cincinnati.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Cisco Systems. This is the power of the network now. And by Chrysler. Inspiration comes standard.
Illegal block in the back called on Reggie Miles. As late a flag as you will see. Number 37 for Cincinnati. There was contact there. The question was, why didn't we see the flag initially? As T.J. Houshmandzadeh made his move upfield.
Bodies were flying, and when bodies fly like that, you know there had to be an illegal block. And see, the Bengals really struggled here in the second half on the offensive side of the ball. You talk about playing that complete game. They haven't shown up in the second half, and now they're really in a tough position because they don't have good field position here, Ryan.
Now Cincinnati is going to be backed up on a 1st and 10 at their own 11-yard line. Take another look at the Houshmandzadeh return. There is the contact. The flag didn't come down till well after the whistle had blown. And Houshmandzadeh had gotten it upfield. 1st and 10 from the 11. On the toss, Rudy Johnson got a blocker, and Johnson able to squirt forward out across the 15. Chris Hope on the stop. It's a 5-yard gain. Coming up on CBS, it begins with America's #1 news magazine, 60 Minutes, followed by a new episode of Cold Case. Then, Blythe Danner, Peter Fonda, Jack Palance star, and Hallmark Hall of Fame's Back When We Were Grown-Ups. That's tonight at 9, 8 Central, here on CBS, America's most watched network. 2nd and 5 as we come up on 6 minutes to play in the 4th quarter here in Cincinnati. Bengals have been shut out in the second half. Back to throw it. Homer steps up, throws too high for Chad Johnson. And the Bengals will face a 3rd down.
3rd down, that's when bad things have happened for Carson Palmer working against this zone blitz defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. See the rushing yard, the advantage that Pittsburgh has in this game, but I think that ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage and deflected off the path. That's why Palmer was not able to connect with Chad Johnson.
3rd and 5. 6:04 remaining in the fourth. 4 receivers set. Palmer, low throw. Incomplete. Johnson felt that he was wrestled down as Polamalu came over to help in coverage against the talented wide receiver Chad Johnson.
And sometimes you have to play conservative. It was a low throw, but I think Palmer put the ball where he knew it would not be intercepted, where he knew only his guy would have a chance. Troy Polamalu came over expecting the pass rush, expecting the ball to come out quick, was very close to getting to that football.
Antoine Randall sets up at the 42-yard line as Larson lays into it. Big punt by Larson. Randall backpedals, turns it upfield along the sideline. Here's Randall. And he is tackled down at the 33. Ball was down. Pittsburgh's got it. Larry Stevens making the stop. 54-yard punt and a 4-yard return.
Runner was down by contact, first down.
And no penalty marker on the play. Remaining games for Cincinnati as they try to get themselves situated into a playoff chase. Got to get a win here, though, with Cleveland, Baltimore, New England all coming up.
In Philadelphia, they close it out there. So certainly you want to try to take care of business, particularly when they are at home. They've been good at home this year. Want to continue to do so. Look at what the Pittsburgh Steelers are facing for the rest of their schedule.
Washington next week. Redskins having major problems as Cincinnati found out firsthand last week on a 1st and 10 from the 34. Bettis cuts it to the outside. And Jerome Bettis getting a block from Kreider and Smith. Steeler fans getting vocal here in the fourth quarter in Cincinnati.
And it looked as though there was a late hit on Jerome Bettis as he slid out of bounds.
Yeah, Bettis kept on running after initial contact and went down after a gain of about 9.
And now they're going to talk about it.
8 penalties on Cincinnati, 6 against Pittsburgh. Larry Nemmers. Get that man a lozenge. He's been a busy guy.
Personal foul on the defense for a late hit, number 59. We'll add 15 yards to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Watch Landon Johnson. That's who they're going to call, okay? See, he hits the ground, but then you see he didn't see if anyone had made contact on him. And if the whistle hasn't blown, which we can't hear, then as a rookie, you know, he's taught to, hey, play to the whistle. And he didn't see if Jerome Bettis had been down, saw he was getting up, but didn't know if he had been knocked down. Certainly has to do a better job of maybe not following through so aggressively if you're not sure if he's down or not. But you know, it's a very difficult call. But certainly it's going to go against the Bengals and going to hurt their field position.
Academic all Big Ten Landon Johnson getting another start for the injured Caleb Miller, who is starting for the injured Nate Webster. And the ball is spotted at the Cincinnati 40. Crowding the line. Handoff. Bettis finds a hole and another flag. 5-yard gain for the Buffs. This one is going back against Pittsburgh. A hold.
Holding offense, number 86. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Hines Ward called on a hold for Pittsburgh. And we've got a flag fest here in Cincinnati in the second half.
Plenty of it. And Hines Ward is a very physical receiver. It's well documented how aggressive he is and how he really plays a part in the running game. Not only the offensive lineman blocking, but as a receiver, I think he's one of the best in the National Football League. Plays his position unlike anyone else.
Bill Cowher wanted to know who it was called on, and he heard it was Ward.
He said,
He backed off. Hey,
okay.
It happens.
Because it's an effort thing with Hines Ward. He's always giving you maximum effort. And sometimes when you do that, you can cross the line a little bit. And I think if you're a coach, you understand that situation.
Back to midfield. 1st and 20 from the 50. Bettis. Justin Smith got a hold of him from behind and limited the bus to a 2-yard gain. NFL Today update. We go to New York. Greg Gumbel.
Ian, it has taken the New York Jets almost the entire day to find the end zone. Quincy Carter to Justin McCarron's 11 yards, and he reaches the goal line. It's a 10-7 Jets lead. Just under 5.5 to play in regulation. Ian and Solomon, back to you.
Jets trying to get a win with the injured Chad Pennington watching, and Quincy Carter, after last week's late game shenanigans against Baltimore, looking to redeem himself on a 2nd and 18 now for Pittsburgh from the Cincinnati 48. Handoff. Bettis again. And down quickly. 1-yard gain. Smith again involved for the Bengals. First man there.
And the Bengals defense starting to hold up. But certainly on the interior part of that defense against Jerome Bettis and the running game of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If Pittsburgh's going to be able to put this game away, it's going to have to happen with Jerome Bettis running the football and running out the clock.
Cincinnati has used a timeout. They've got 2 remaining with 4:02 left in the 4th quarter. We'll step aside. Pittsburgh with a 17-14 lead. We're getting late into the 4th in Cincy. The official time remaining 4:10 after Cincinnati called that timeout. Pittsburgh and Bill Cowher with a 17-14 lead. The time of possession overwhelming for the Steelers this season. Bengals trying to make one last play defensively on a 3rd and 17 for the rookie Roethlisberger. Out of the shotgun. Handoff to Ron Haynes. And the Steelers go conservative, not to make any mistakes here. And they will hand it over to their defense after the 4-yard gain. Time trickling away. Under 4 minutes to play now. 4th quarter.
You ask, why do you get a draw play on 3rd and 17? Hopefully you catch the defensive backs thinking that you're going to try to go for it all on one play, throwing it up the field for a 17-yard pass play. And sometimes the linebackers, everyone will turn their back, so you think you can hit that draw play, everyone vacating their lanes. And sometimes you can hit it for a pretty big gain.
T.J. Houshmandzadeh with Chris Gardocki punting. Field position has been a problem all day for Cincinnati. And Houshmandzadeh sets up shop at the 10-yard line. A flag thrown. Delay of game as Pittsburgh used all of it.
Delay of game, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
So they'll place the football at the 49. And Gardocki standing at his own 37. 3:22 remaining. It's a 3-point differential. Action today from the AFC North. Gardocki, low snap, handles it. Houshmandzadeh, fair catch at the 8. Had a rush coming, did not allow it to bounce, and that's where Cincinnati will take over. Coming up, the Subway postgame show. Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer have all the latest NFL scores and highlights, and that's coming your way on the Subway postgame show. Next. Carson Palmer. Ben Roethlisberger has been getting all the headlines. A 7-0 record as a rookie. Palmer essentially a rookie starter. He's in his 2nd year. He watched John Kitna take every snap last season for this Cincinnati offense, and now looks to move the Bengals down the field.
Yeah, and he's not surrounded by the kind of players that Roethlisberger has with the receivers, the running game, and the defense.
1st and 10 from the 9, operating out of the shotgun. Palmer steps up. Palmer in some trouble. Palmer tripped up. It's Kimo von Oelhoffen, the former Bengal. And that will go down as a sack for Pittsburgh.
Kimo von Oelhoffen just stayed right on Carson Palmer. You see him lined up at that right defensive end, number 67. Watch him come around and then continues. I thought Palmer maybe stayed in the pocket just a little too long, but he gets enough of the back foot of Carson Palmer enough to trip him up.
And the first sack of the season for von Oelhoffen. 2nd and 11 from the 8. Schobel is in there as an extra receiving threat. They handle the blitz, or do they? Palmer throwing out of his own end zone. Incomplete. Who was over there for Cincinnati is the question.
This should be intentional grounding. And they're going to call a safety because he was in his end zone. And I thought Carson Palmer got outside of himself on that. He sensed the pressure before it arrived and did not keep his composure.
Major mistake for Palmer and the Bengals.
Intentional grounding, Number 9. When that occurs in the end zone, it's a safety.
Now watch the pressure on Carson Palmer. They'll come in, and they have him surrounded. But see, now he's got to let it go. See him double clutch it. Now watch how he moves back into the end zone when the pressure was so close on him, and the sack was so close to happening. At that point, you have to get rid of the ball, or at least tuck it and run it. Do not move back into your end zone, and that's when he got into trouble.
Let's give you the names. Von Oelhoffen, Smith, Willie Williams, all there defensively for Pittsburgh. You're right. That was the moment to release the ball.
And he held on to it way too long. He sensed the pressure coming in, felt like he wanted to throw the ball. Then when he double clutched it, that's when he made the bad decision to back up even further into his end zone. When you tuck it down in that area, you have to tuck it and run it. And I mean run it forward, not back into your own end zone.
First recorded safety in over 4 years for Pittsburgh. Steelers looking to move to 9-1. The only blemish, an early season loss to Baltimore, which was more than 2 months ago. So you put 2 on the board for Pittsburgh. It's a 19-14 lead. That takes away a drive for a field goal for Cincinnati. And now the Bengals have to kick off and play some defense with 2:38 left.
And they're going to have to play quick defense. They're going to have to shut down the running game because you know they're going to power it with Jerome Bettis. And right now, if you're Marvin Lewis, you're telling your defense, we have to get a turnover. So when you make the tackle, securing, and then the second guy come in, look to strip the football and get it out, because that's their best chance of coming back to win this game.
It's a free kick for Cincinnati as Kyle Larson, the punter, is out there. But Pittsburgh should have good field position. With a 19-14 lead, 2:38 remaining in the fourth quarter. Larson has to punt it from the 20. Randall L. and Coakley are deep. This is Randall L. from the 27. Straight up the middle. Randall L. finds an opening, cutting to the outside into Cincinnati territory, and then forced out of bounds at the 46-yard line by Keywan Ratliff.
Oh, is he good. He's quick, he's fast, and very elusive. He's done a phenomenal job today at returning punts and kicks of any kind.
2:31 showing on the clock. A learning process for Carson Palmer. An opportunity in the second half for Cincinnati to make a real statement around the NFL by knocking off the Steelers. And right now they're on the short end of a 19-14 game. Pittsburgh ball, 2:31 left. Handoff. Bettis able to take the lane and carry it out across the 40. Some pushing and shoving after the play. And a 6-yard gain as Faneca with a good block on that left side.
So this is when Jerome Bettis is at his best. He loves this time in the football game. He is the essential closer, the ability to knock the other team out of the game.
Timeout, Cincinnati. Alan Faneca told us how the Steelers' offensive line sets the tone for this team. And they've done that once again here today with 2:25 left. Pittsburgh trying to use as much clock as possible. A 2nd and 4. And Bettis. Not much room to work with. A 1-yard gain. Landon Johnson down low, able to bring down the bus. Cincinnati has used its final timeout. They still have the 2-minute warning to work with. But a 19-14 Pittsburgh lead. Time running out for Cincy. Will Chad Johnson and the Cincinnati offense get another chance? We'll find out in a moment. A 3rd and 3 for Pittsburgh with 2:20 remaining. Bengals desperately need a stop. They're out of timeouts. The 2-minute warning just moments away. On 3rd down, Kreider goes in motion. Fake the handoff. Roethlisberger running himself. Roethlisberger diving for the first down. Ben Roethlisberger, 25 tickets for family and friends, but he told us he expects a lot of backing here today near his hometown of Findlay.
He also told us that as the games go on, they're starting to rely on his abilities more and more. You see on the big third down play, it's his mobility that helps slam the door shut on the Cincinnati Bengals.
If Marvin Lewis and the Bengals want to take that next step as a team, they're going to have to find ways to win games like these. They can't stop the clock. 1:52 and counting left. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win their 8th consecutive game for Bill Cowher. Their last 8-game winning streak, 1995, the last year they went to the Super Bowl.
In a hard-fought football game, well coached by Bill Cowher and Marvin Lewis. And you have to understand, the defensive performance, I think, by the Cincinnati Bengals, only giving up 10 of those 19 points because, remember, the interception thrown to James Ferrier returned for a touchdown, and then the safety on Carson Palmer accounted for 9 of the 19 points. So the Bengals defense did one well of a job, not for the mistakes made by the offense giving up points. Marvin Lewis might be the winner today.
And for Ben Roethlisberger, he grew up here in Ohio. Last week, a win in Cleveland. This week, a win in Cincinnati, and officially now the king of Ohio. Didn't grow up a Browns or Bengals fan. Roethlisberger was a fan of the 49ers as a kid. A little bit of a front runner.
He sure was. Rooting for the Niner team that I lost to in a Super Bowl.
40 seconds left now. The Pittsburgh Steelers take a knee. Without Deuce Staley, the Steelers keep their winning streak alive. Subway postgame show is coming up. Bill Cowher and the Steelers improved to 9-1 with a 19-14 victory over Cincinnati. Bengals still looking for their first divisional victory. It's an 8-game winning streak for Roethlisberger. What a way to start your NFL career. 8-0 as a starting quarterback. Palmer and his former college roommate Troy Polamalu. And it's Polamalu who takes the season series.
And after what we've seen in sports over the last weekend, to see a hard-fought game and see the players on the field congratulating each other and participating and competing, I think, in the right way, showing a great deal of sportsmanship following this football game.
Steelers right now atop the football world and the hottest team in the league. 8 consecutive wins and now 9-1 on the season. Coming up next, the Subway postgame show right here on CBS. For Solomon Wilcox and the rest of our crew, this is Ian Eagle saying so long from Paul Brown Stadium. The final score, 19-14 Steelers. You've been watching the NFL on CBS. Stay tuned. The Subway postgame show from New York is next.